everybody, it's Starp here. Welcome to my review for Ori and the Will of the Wisps. This is available for Xbox One as well as PC, and it's part of Xbox Game Pass, so go out there and grab it if you are a member of that. So this game is a sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, which came out 5 years ago in 2015. So as a follow-up for that original game, this game does everything a sequel should. It improves the gameplay, it furthers the story, and it overall feels like it's been worth the wait for 5 years, because this game, guys, is so awesome. So just a little quick rundown on the story here. We have the spirit that you play as, known as Ori, and the game starts off in a very happy place. You find this owl and you take this little owl creature in to your family, and you're just enjoying life in general, and you're flying around. The next thing you know, a storm happens and you get separated. You're out there in the wild and you soon find out that this entire landscape is blighted. There's this corruption that is going around the land, and you have to find your owl buddy, and that is the premise of the game, all while you're trying to find these wisps, which will eventually clear away the blight and the corruption. So this game is first and foremost a puzzle platformer. If you are a fan of Limbo, if you are a fan of Inside and games like Donkey Kong Country, you're going to feel right at home here. It's also got a nice metroidvania element where you're going to be going around and gathering items and abilities, which will further unlock other parts of the overall map. So I think that the platforming in this game is pretty much second to none. This is just what you would expect for a sequel of a game that already had excellent platforming. The platforming feels so responsive when you're jumping around, the kinetic flow, the speed, the adrenaline you get when you're running away from dangerous creatures and different beings as they're chasing you through some of the levels, and then going into these boss fights with the combat feels so satisfying. I will tell you that these boss battles were pretty challenging. They were lots of improvements upon what happened in the first game yet again, and there's different phases of the bosses that have different unique abilities. All likewise, you're learning how to use your abilities, right? You have different abilities you can put in slots. You can have hammers, or you can have spears, or you can have bows. So I found myself constantly throughout the game switching up my abilities, and you also have these passive abilities which almost feel like RPG elements, where you're going to be able to modify your damage and your health and different things like that, increasing to a triple jump. Really interesting, and all of those you can upgrade. And throughout this entire playthrough, you can also get these collectibles. You can find time trials and different combat trials, which will further enhance things like increasing your overall abilities that you can use at the same time, and health and energy costs. So there's a lot to this game. It took me about 14 hours to complete, and there's so much more left, because I think I have about 40 to 50% of the game done technically, even though I've finished through the story. And this story, let's talk about the story, the overall narrative for Ori and the Will of the Wisps. And this game is so narratively focused, because there really isn't a game that has affected me recently the way that this game ends. And an overall journey, I don't want to spoil it, but it's told in a way that it has very, very few lines of dialogue. Actually, I don't even think the main character Ori has any dialogue whatsoever. The game is told through both the animation with the gestures as well as the sweeping score. This music in this game, I don't know if I've actually played a game that had music that affected the stories so much, because when there's so little being said vocally, the music comes in with its undertones, and it really drives forward what is happening, the feelings that I'm going to kind of have while I'm watching what is going on in front of me. And this is all, again, just everything melds together perfectly, from the combat to the platforming to the story to the music. All of that flows so nicely, and oh my gosh, guys, the artistry that is on display here with the visuals, they are magnificent. They are just so great. They really pop on the screen. I can't imagine playing this on a 4K TV with HDR, because I think they pop on a 1080p LED TV. So you have these environments. They're all completely different. You have this overall map where you got your water area, you have your desert area, you have your underbog, underneath the ground area, you have your mountain area, and everything there in between. So it really feels like, okay, I know where I am now, and this is the kind of creatures and monsters that I'm going to come across into this area. And going into my negatives, that's what I will say is I could have used a little bit more differences in enemy types, a little bit more variety in enemy types. I still felt like even towards the end of the game, I was still seeing those same blobs that I'd seen in the beginning of the game. Also, I would have liked to see Ori have a little bit more personality. I know it's very difficult when there's no dialogue in the game, but I could have used some more nuances to the character of Ori and to get it to make me feel more connected to Ori, but that's not taken away from Ori as well, because man, oh man, the end of this game, if you get to the end of this game and you don't feel anything, then I question whether or not you are actually human, because this story hits you so hard in the feels that I actually had to take a break after I played this game and kind of decompress, because man, that ending is so poignant and it really says a lot with a little bit of words. So with that being said, I'm going to give Ori and the Will of the Wisps a score of a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, guys, I really enjoyed this game. I think this is the gold standard for platformers and platformer puzzle games, because this really showcases what happens when you have all these elements: story, with platforming, with puzzle solving, with animation, with music. Like, all this stuff combined into a game makes this one of the greatest Xbox One games to date. Yes, that's right. I find this game up there with Gears of War 4. This is one of the best Xbox One games, and hopefully in the future, you know, we see the face of Xbox where it's Marcus Phoenix and it's Master Chief 117. I want to see Ori up there. I want to see Ori as one of those characters that is held up under the Xbox brand, sort of like, you know, obviously Nintendo has a whole bunch of characters, and PS4 as well. So it's nice to see an Xbox One game that it doesn't deal with just mercilessly killing people with guns, but a game that allows you to breathe a little bit, allows you to just bask in its glory. And man, I haven't had this much fun out of a game in a long time. The inherent nature of platforming and the jumping and the impact of the weapons, this felt so much fun. So now I want to hear from you guys. Ori and the Will of the Wisps has been out for a couple months. Did you play it yet? Let's talk about it in the comment section below. For more on Star Wars, for more video games, you're already in the right place. You can go ahead and support the channel simply by subscribing. That is going to do it for me, Star. But thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @StarRaptor.